Well, all right. Here we are once again at Pastor B's kitchen table. This is the place where we break it down, chop it up, and put it back together again. I'm so glad to have you back at the table. Go and tell your family and friends they're at that table again and they're talking. And I'm so glad to have an opportunity to talk today. We're going to be talking the next few weeks, actually, about the area related to rebound, about rebounding from some things that have happened in our lives that we've learned so much and we've grown so much, and you can rebound too. And I've got a great rebound guest here today, and that is Teresa Strong. Teresa, will you say hello to the kitchen table audience?
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, man. And Teresa, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Certainly. I am, well, I'm not quite a native Houstonian, but I've been here since 1977. So that's getting pretty darn close.
Yeah.
I have a few degrees behind me, but most importantly, I'm a daughter, a sister, and an executive director of an amazing nonprofit.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Great, Teresa. So glad to have you. Thank you for making the time to sit at the table today. Teresa, now you've got a story to tell. And if you would just share with the audience, take us back a little bit and tell us how we even got up to this wonderful nonprofit.
Well, Pastor, maybe about 10, 12 years ago, I was living what I thought was going to be my dream life. Had a great job at a venture capital company, a wonderful husband. We had bought a house just outside the loop, had a great dog. Things were going exactly how they were supposed to. And then Tom, my husband, got diagnosed with brain cancer. And he fought as well as he could. We both fought as well as we could. And Tom, unfortunately, did succumb. He did die of brain cancer. And then 2 months later, the company I was working for went bankrupt. And last but not least, my dog ran away. So I found myself on the downside of what I thought was going to be a perfect future.
Yeah.
I had always thought of myself as, I was brought up, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and nothing keeps you down and you just keep fighting. And that was always my self-vision, my self-awareness was, go ahead, kick me when I'm down. I'm still going to get up fighting. And those multiple blows, they proved that was not the person that I thought I was. I was pretty down for the count. And as I was trying to find work and trying to live in God's grace, I started exercising and I started volunteering at homeless shelters. Every day I would get up and I would say, okay, today I'm going to run a half mile, or today I'm going to try and run a mile. And if I was able to accomplish that, if I made myself do it, I knew at the end of the day, I'd done something that I said I was going to do, and it made me feel better about myself. Right. And I was at that time volunteering at the Bread of Life homeless shelter downtown, helping, the individuals set up their cots, feed them dinner, and became aware that if what I was learning and experience about eating right, about exercising, but more importantly, about setting goals and achieving them. Yeah. Work in those programs in the shelter, I could be having a much more important, meaningful impact. So I went from organization to organization, and not a single organization had a program like that. Some of them thought it was silly. Some thought it was a great idea. All of them said, we don't have the resources to even explore this. And so that is slowly how Bel Inizio was born. Bel Inizio means beautiful beginning in Italian. And our mission is to work with disadvantaged individuals, primarily women, that are living in shelters or transitional housing to build their self-esteem and confidence through fitness and nutrition. We have an 8-week program. We've graduated over 800 women, and we're finding it's an important and valuable program to build a future.
That is amazing. So how did you end up in the homeless? I mean, on the path you were in, and certainly the the disappointment and the grieving process of losing your husband, your job, and even your dog. Why the homeless shelter? What was it that pointed you in that direction?
My family, I was always raised, we were always raised to give back.
Okay.
When we were just little kids and we would go out trick-or-treating on Halloween, there were 5 of us.
Mhm.
At the end of the night, we would all have to sit down on the living room floor and we had to divide our candy into 2 piles.
Oh, okay.
And then my dad would come by, and we called them orphans in those days, and he would take half of our candy to give to the orphans.
Hmm.
But the funny thing was, we didn't know which pile he was going to take.
Oh,
So, we couldn't just put like all the yucky black licorice and the candy corn in a pile and then keep all the chocolate, because
yeah,
sure enough, he'd take all those chocolates. We had to
yeah.
be fair in our giving. And that was from when we were just little kids. So we spent almost every holiday as a family working in homeless shelters, at food lines.
Ah,
So that is what I gravitate to, trying to pull myself out of my own head, trying to look beyond. I mean, I was still so very blessed, but in trying to look beyond that, I thought, okay, who's got it way, way worse than I do?
yeah, yeah.
Downtown Houston any night of the week, and you see a whole bunch of people that are way worse than you. And I think that's why I gravitated toward that.
That is amazing. That man, I applaud your father. That is so, because the key, what you said, you never knew which pile or which stack he was going to pull from. Oh my goodness! So there had to be equity.
That's
Uh,
right.
yeah, it had to be equality. It had to be. Uh, my goodness. So tell me that your faith. Tell me, how did you navigate these waters of grief before you got to Bel Canto?
Pastor, I have to tell you honestly, I did not do it well.
Yeah.
Uh, when Tom was an amazing man, and he had so much faith, and he was laying in the hospital bed in what I now know was weeks, just weeks before he died.
Yeah.
And I was cuddling up with him in the hospital bed, and he can't walk anymore, he can't eat anymore, he has a feeding tube. And I was very upset, and Tom was patting me and he said, Teresa, don't worry, God's going to get us through this.
Yeah.
And Pastor, I was furious, because I'm like, well, God, the clock's ticking here. This man is dying.
Yeah.
Chop, chop. We need the miracle really quick. And the miracle of curing Tom did not happen. The miracle of having the opportunity for me to be led and work with literally dozens and hundreds of volunteers to change the lives of over 850 women did.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
but it was tough going. I have to tell you, I was not the woman of faith that I thought I was at the beginning of it.
Oh, Teresa, none of us are. None of us are until we're in it. And I'm glad that, just for your transparency, because that's the issue that many are in, that when life hits and God allows these sovereign circumstances to invade our lives, it rocks you and reels you. I mean, it can literally bring you down. Like you said, chop, chop, bring on the miracle in a hurry. And that is so true. And yet to see that God has brought something beautiful, something amazing out of what at that moment just had to seem like the doom and gloom of life. Uh, and so how did Bel Canto, how did it begin to blossom? Can you remember that day in which you realized that you were doing more than just being at a homeless shelter, to now you're starting to engage these women, and where these women come from? And tell us a little bit about that.
Right when the thoughts started coming to me to try and do a program. I wasn't even advanced enough to think, oh, I'm going to start a nonprofit, but to try and start a program. I was reading a book at the time called Bel Canto by Ann Patch, which is a phenomenal book. It is one of the best written books I've ever read. And so I wanted to name my project Bel Canto, but Bel Canto means beautiful singing, and I don't sing, and this has nothing to do with singing. So I told my sister I wanted to name it Bel Inizio, and she said, that's a ridiculous name. No one knows what it means. Nobody's going to be able to say it. Why don't you just name it Runners for God or something? And I'm like, no. So I started putting the idea together, and at the time I was a member of the board of another nonprofit, Home Aid. And Home Aid Houston had an agency, Volunteers of America, come and present to them one day. And so after the program, after the regular board meeting, I went up to the woman in charge and said, I've got this idea, and it's a really bad idea. It's a stupid idea. No one's going to like this idea. It's never going to make any difference to anyone. She's like, well, thanks for sharing. What is your idea? So I told her the idea, we could walk and run with the women, and we could teach them how to eat properly, and we could motivate them and make them feel good about themselves. And she said, that's a great idea. Can you come and present to my program managers tomorrow? And I'm like, what? Okay. So I went and presented to the program managers. This was started on a Wednesday. I presented on Thursday, and they're like, that's a great idea. Can you start Friday? And I'm like, no, I can't start Friday. I don't even know what I'm doing. And she's like, okay, then start Monday. And a friend of mine, Becky Spalding, and I, we took a big leap. By then I was working full time. Becky was working full time. So then we had our second full-time job, nights and weekends. And we did a pilot program, added in the 5K option, added in empowerment aspects, did a lot of research about what truly was making a difference, the 8-week model of changing the direction of a life. And it just took on a life of its own. A friend of mine at the time gave me a check for $500. Said, here, this is for Bel Inizio. And Pastor, I remember thinking, $500. How am I ever going to spend $500? That's more money than I would ever need for this, right? Well, 11 years later with a $300,000 budget, it's like, wow. Talk about, giving me a fish or teaching me how to fish or something. I mean, that just multiplied, right? So the women we serve are all in agencies. So we work with Angela House, Santa Maria Hostel, the Women's Home, Star of Hope, Dress for Success, many organizations like that. And the women in those organizations are in various stages of their life, but almost all, to a woman, they have been abused. They're in recovery from that abuse. They're in recovery from drugs and alcohol. Most have criminal backgrounds. Many have children, but they all have a common goal of wanting to move forward to a beautiful future. And we have a real key element to help them do that.
You sure do. Wow. I imagine you've heard some stories with so many women. So you're actually helping them take care of their bodies. You're helping them take care of their health. You're really helping them in a very pivotal point in their lives towards holistic health healing, really, because you got to take care of your body, you got to take care of your temple, you got to take care of those things. And I imagine, so what is the number one thing that you constantly hear in ministering to women like this?
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Okay. Can't do it.
I can't do it. I can't do that because my body is too damaged. I can't do that because it's hard and I don't feel like it. I can't do that because that's not what we do. We don't exercise. We don't exercise. That's part of our world. And exercise is key, the key element of Belenizio, but it's not the end game. The end
Yeah,
game is not to make, well, if people come up and say, how many of your women continue to exercise or keep walking or keep running it? And while we do have numbers on that, that's not the point. Our
yeah,
point isn't to make athletes. Our point is to make people that can experience success
yeah,
and know what that feels like and feel better about themselves and have self-compassion so
yeah,
that they're stronger for the very next step on their journey.
yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Isn't it amazing, Teresa, how your life has just pivoted? I think I told you on the phone one day about, and you said, no, I didn't make my life pivot. God pivoted my life.
That's
Yeah, I remember that. And then so over these years, you over 800 women, and you guys are still doing. What size staff do you have?
Oh, we have two people,
Two people.
my program manager and myself.
Wow. And so how many? And you two people in all these facilities?
Our programs run, uh, we group our programs. So for example, in the spring, we'll have 3 different groups going. And in the summer, we'll have 2 different groups. And in the fall, we'll have 3 different groups.
Okay.
So Mika, our program manager, she's ramping up for the fall now. So she'll have a program with Dress for Success, perhaps on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay. Teresa, you still there? Hello, Teresa, you still there?
Work, right? The fundraising, the administrative, the grant writing, the
But
tests.
Teresa, is there ever a time, does anyone ever ask you, or have they asked you, why are you doing this?
My mom asks me that all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I have to tell you that, why am I doing this? Because it's the right thing to do, given the skills I have, the community that's around me, the resources that I've been given,
yeah,
the opportunity to give back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's your call. You've been called to do this, what it sounds like. That is made, it's almost if you're saying, how could I not do it? I have to do it.
You know, it is true. How could I not do it? And how could I? But a calling sounds awfully
Lofty.
Mother Teresa, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm not sure
yeah,
this is a calling, but I know it's the right thing for me to be doing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Teresa, finally, let me ask you this. Over these years and over all these ebbs and flows of your life for sure, what have you learned most about yourself? And what have you learned most about God?
What I have learned most about myself is that I continue to make one key mistake over and over, and that is to think that I can do it.
Hmm.
Like, for example, we have a race coming up. We have the Giving Thanks 5K, 10K, November 20th in Sugar Land Memorial Park. And I'm just convinced that if I work hard enough, it will be a success. And I can't work hard enough to make it be a success.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned from God, is that, Teresa, when you get to that point, and you will get to it, because you get to it about once a month where you're just like, I can't do this, God. And I give it to him.
Yeah.
He makes things happen the way he wants. That doesn't mean 1,000 people will come to my race. It
Yeah.
means it's going to be okay.
It's gonna be okay. Wow, Teresa. Teresa, you are amazing. Just to think about just what God has given you and how you're taking, not just taking, lemons and making lemonade, not that cliche, but the idea that something's been put inside of you and everything that's happened to you could have literally extracted that from you, but it didn't. It has become more fuel. I mean, you're living, talking about success and purpose and That's what you're living now. And I'm glad that you're here to encourage men and women who are watching right now, who've got some tough blows. They've been hit with some tough things they never saw coming. They too had a dream life. And yet you're living proof that I always say that in the wisdom of God, it's possible that some of our better days can be ahead of us and not behind us. You got the final word. You got the final word.
The final word is, Pastor, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share Bel with you and your whole kitchen table. God bless you, sir.
Teresa, God bless you. God keep you. Thank you so much. Kitchen table, there it is. Get your family together. Get your friends together. Let them listen to this over and over again, because what you heard today, if it happened to her, it can certainly happen to you. Have a great day, and I'll see you next Friday right here at the kitchen table.